Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this month's Training Tuesday for May. Today's topic is configuration files. These are parameters-based files that are used to modify various modules and content pieces in OU Campus, such as OU Search, headers and footers, and more. We're going to learn both how to modify them and how to create your own custom config files. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode as the session is being recorded. If you have a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A function found at the bottom of your screen. We will attempt to address any questions during the presentation. After the formal presentation has ended, we will review and answer all remaining questions. Your presenter today is Billy Woody, software trainer at OmniUpdate. Billy, it's all yours. Just a second, I think a slight audio issue.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Looks like I was muted twice, both on my microphone and on the screen. So technical snafu here. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys may be across this lovely nation of ours. My name is Billy Woody. I am going to be your Training Tuesday trainer today. We are, as Erica mentioned, going to be going over configuration files. So let's see here. Our agenda today, and it's going to be covering what configuration files are within OU Campus. Oops, hold on a second. I need to do one more thing. I need to share my screen. Let's see, let's go back to share and go here. My apologies, guys. There we go. All right. Now I am sharing my screen, so now you can see me. It probably looks just the same because we had the same splash screen up there. So again, my name is Billy Woody. Today our agenda for configuration files are what are configuration files in OU Campus, what parts of OU Campus take advantage of the configuration files, and how to edit those configuration files. So what are configuration files? Files in OU Campus with form fields that allow you to basically edit other files within OU Campus. So examples of settings that can be edited, text colors, the hero and banner images on your pages, different themes, icons, logo sets, things of that nature. And while there is some consistency with the configuration files based on the different installs, many of those are customizable depending on each installation. So while some of the things you're seeing here might be consistent in what you may or may not be seeing in your own installation, they are sometimes different as well. Most of the configurations are edited through the properties or parameters panel within OU Campus. And so what parts of OU Campus take advantage of config files? As I mentioned, they are custom within each installation of OU Campus. They're found in many of the new installs and around these new modules. So things like the email campaign manager, emergency alerts, OU search, OU mashup, and then in the header and footer include files, and also in the props files. If you are seeing the props files and you create your new sections, that's one of the config files as well. As I mentioned, the files are edited by using the properties and parameters panel within OU Campus. And so here you would go underneath your properties button and into the parameters section. And depending on the types of settings that are available, you'll see different options in here. And you may actually also see a multi-edit option as well. And again, I'll show you some of that as we get through here. The config settings can be viewed in the preview window. And so when you're working on a config file, when you select the preview, all of your settings are going to be displayed in this preview window in the configuration panel. And this, again, also will look different depending on the config file that you are using. So there's not consistency there other than the fact that you will see your settings within that, that preview panel. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be doing here. Let me drop this out of the way for you. And so when we get logged in, this is our Galena University training university here. When we get logged in, I've just navigated over to a config files directory that I've created, where I've basically moved a bunch of our config files into one area to make it a little simpler to navigate around for you. So the first one that I want to talk about are the props files. And so to show you what the props files are, I'm going to pop into here. And this is the file that is edited for the configuration. Many of the newer installations of OU Campus, when you create a new section, you're going to see not only your side nav file, but also this newer props file that's in there. And so if I open up this, this file right here, my interior PCF file, in preview here, we see we've got our breadcrumb, the home and the hello world that is here. So I'm going to go back into my my pages in here and go back to that props file. And then here under the properties section, we have the section title, which is the hello world. So that's what we are seeing that is creating the breadcrumb that's in here. So if I don't edit this locally within the file itself, it will automatically use what's in the props file to propagate that forward. So if I change this instead to props config or something like that, and we just save this out, and we come back into here and I refresh this, we see that it automatically will update. You don't have to republish out the props file to see the changes that are made in here. Also, within several of the props files, when you are in the properties and parameter section, you will see this multi-edit content button as well. So in here, you can have almost anything that you want to create a configuration out of that you want to propagate forward through the files within that folder. So say, for example, you have a hero image or a banner that is going to be placed onto each page that's created in that section. You can have the configuration on each page and have each page customized with its own banner. And if you don't customize it, it'll automatically take the banner information that's been preset within the props file as well. So this is where you would set that, and you could set not only the image for the page itself on the desktop, but you could also set up a separate hero image or banner image for the mobile version as well. And you could actually create additional settings in here as well within the props file, which is really nice. So again, this is can be quite customizable based on each install and each of your individual needs and design as well. And can I make the image a little bit larger? Yeah, I can try to zoom in on the window here a little bit. That helps out a bit. All right, and just let me know if you need that to be any larger at all. Okay. All right, so continuing forward, that is the props file. Let me go back into here, into my pages, and back into my config area. One of the other areas, you're welcome, Tammy. One of the other areas that we see a config file is what is called our OU mashup. And our OU mashup, let me close out a couple of windows here that I no longer need. We can see that here in our social media mashup, and that's what OU mashup is. It basically is taking different content and posts from different social media. In our example here, we've got Facebook, our OU blogs, YouTube, Twitter, things like that. And so if I wanted to be able to configure how all this looks, the look and feel of the post here, of the icons, things of that nature, I can come back into here and I would go into my my social, which is right into here. And in here, my settings are stored in the credentials area underneath the settings menu. So I click on this. And here again, under the preview, this is going to show me my preview settings. So it's going to tell me my current filter icon set, the feed icon set is here, whether or not I have any caching set up, my theme preview, and then here are all the different filter icons that are currently being used within here. So if I come back over into my properties area and I wanted to change any of these elements, let's say, for example, first we wanted to change what the theme looked like. Right now it's set for default. we can go ahead and maybe change this to a darker look instead. And again, we just save this out. We don't have to publish this. And then in preview, we see how the theme has now been changed to this darker theme. And that's what, again, would propagate throughout through the mashup as well. And you have any number of themes that have already been pre-designed in here. You can create other themes as well and then have them listed underneath your themes to be able to change. So again, we can change this back to light, and then we now have our light theme as well. One of the other settings that we have in here, for example, is to be able to change our icon sets. So let's say we wanted to change our filtering icon or the feed icon sets. That is also set up here underneath the properties. And here we have our feed icons and our filter icons. And so if I wanted to change, for example, what the filtering icons look like, a different set, I can click onto here and we can go into my icons. And here, let's say we want to go with these hand-drawn icons. So all I need to do is just select any one of them and it'll automatically know which folder that I'm in. I can choose this. Now, the reason why you can't see this one is because these are actually here, but it's hand-drawn in a white look, so you really won't see much of it here. But I can choose it and show you what that looks like and save it. And so when I scroll down, we see, well, it's white on top of white. So let's change that because that's obviously not going to work. Let's go back to our properties menu and go back to our filter icons. And we're going to go back up and we'll go to the darker hand shade instead. There we go. That's going to show up a lot better. Save that. And so all I did is select the one and it automatically updated all of the icons through that config menu as well. And the same thing that I can do over here for the feed icon set as well. Go back over into the properties menu and go change my feed icon set. And for this one, maybe we'll just go with the default look and choose that and save it. Now we see the default icons instead of the shaded ones that would be in there. So again, you can have custom settings throughout all this that can be created for you. For this mashup, this is the settings that were required for this, to have the ability to change your icon sets very easily and very quickly within here. And all that, again, is all through the properties menu in here. You also have some other things you can change in here, things like caching and things of that nature. But this is stuff that you're not going to actually see here reflected in the preview, other than the fact you're going to see the information that's in here. All right. Okay, so back up into here and to our configuration file area. The third area of configuration files I wanted to look at were the email campaign manager area. So I'm going to click onto here in my email campaign manager. And we are going to open up our student newsletter here. All right, so here is the current newsletter template that we've created for the email campaign manager. And let me again open up my pages into another tab so I can go back and I can edit these. All right, and then to edit these, I'm going to go into the includes. This is where my configuration file is set up for this. And so here is the color configuration file for my email template. So right now, under here, if I go to the properties for my email, I've got my color themes listed here. So I've got my 4 color themes, plus some other default themes that are in here as well. So the ones we're going to be looking at right now are the color themes that are defined by themes 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I come over here to my config, here's my theme 1, theme 2, 3, and 4. And so if I switch this over to the theme 2 and save it out, we're going to see the changes that have taken place because of the colors that are in the theme 2. Back to our properties, and we'll go back to theme 1 again and save that back out. So we see that it's taking in the colors that have been created into here. So now if we wanted to edit these configuration files to create changes to these themes, we would just do this through this configuration file. So again, we check this out as with anything else into here. We're going to open up our properties menu. And so here again are the different colors. You've got your main theme colors in here. You've got your theme 1 colors, which are listed here, theme 2, all the way down through the theme 4, down at the very end. All right, so let's say we wanted to change our theme 1 colors to look something a little bit different. I can open up a color or wheel tool. I've got one that I've created in here in my gadget that I'm going to use as my color picker. So if I wanted to start changing the colors in here, I can open this up and maybe go pick a couple of other different colors and just copy that and change our header color to that and change our footer background color. We're just going to get really crazy here to make it look like it stands out. Footer text and footer links we can just leave as they are right now, and the hover over, maybe we want to make our hover over color a little bit different. This lovely wine color. All right, then we can save that out, and then we will see our lovely rainbow of colors that has now taken place in here. Now, the difference here with this type of configuration, for this to take effect, I do need to publish this out. So if I came over here now and I just refreshed this screen, we're not going to see any of the changes from that theme. So we would have to come over here and publish this out. And then we come back over here and refresh this. We do see all these lovely, crazy, insane colors that I picked to put in here for this lovely theme, as you can see. Not pretty, but you can see the functionality is there within that configuration file. All right. Back over into here, we have also our footer area that's in here, and this is also another configuration file in here. So if we go back into our pages, we have our footer section. And here under properties for our footer, we can come in and we can decide to change our logo that's here. Right now, I've got some different color logos, but you can completely change to a different logo altogether if you wanted to. Again, it just all depends on what you want to have in here. So I can go and select my new logo, choose that file, save it, publish it out, come back into here, and this logo down here, once I refresh, is now going to change to that, that blue logo that is down there as well. Now we also see all of these social media links. By default, they will show up as long as there is a link provided in the parameter. So here we have links to all of them in here. And so let's say we didn't have a Facebook account. I can just remove that, save it, republish it. And then automatically, since there is no link included, when I refresh this, you'll see the Facebook icon will disappear automatically because it is interactive in that way where it will see if there is a link, and if there isn't, it won't even put the icon onto the item there. So again, if I just went back and just check this back out into my properties and go ahead and paste that back in there and save it and publish. And very quickly, our Facebook link is back here again. Okay, now as I mentioned, one of the cool things you can do is you can create your own custom settings, if you like, within OU Campus. So one of the things that I wanted to do is to be able to also have the ability to change my icon set down here within this as well. So I just went within the page itself and created my own custom setting in the properties menu within here. And so not only do I have the color theme, but now I have my icon set here. And you can see that within the source code here. Here's my icon set. And so I just added this selection parameter into here, which would then go into the different icon sets. And so depending on which icon set I would select, it would know which directory to go look in to go find those icons, the shaded directory, the default, the hand, or the hand too. And so once all this has been created, you can very easily just pop into here and change over to the different icon set. So if we went to the hand-drawn gray and save that out, scroll down, we can now see these here, like this. And the same thing with the hand-drawn white. So this is great, especially in something like a newsletter where you may want to change the themes based also on time of year, on holidays, things like that. You might want to have different themes already pre-built and pre-set up that you can very easily go in and just use your configuration panel to reset. And so it doesn't take a lot of work to get in and to build those. It's relatively simple. You don't need a lot of coding experience to do that. So that's one of those things that we could help work you guys through support here as well to do that. So So that is the email config file section. Next, we are going to bring you into our OU search config files. So let's drop these other windows out of the way that we do not need. Okay. So here's our OU search. Many of you have OU search as part of your installation as well. So you will have something like this on your site that looks very familiar here. So here we have a pretty simple theme. We've got this this blue colored borders. We've got the advanced section on. We see we have this hover of this darker blue and this sort of glowing around it as well. And you'll notice as I start to type in a word, after I get to my first 2 letters, it starts to give me potential results as to what I'm looking for, and it gives me up to 10 of them here. So I did want to go for admissions. And so once I do that, it shows me all the different items that are in here. Say I wanted to also do administration. And when I do that, we actually see on the right-hand side our parametric filtering. And so we can actually go down into more of the fine-tuning of this if we wanted to. And then we see down at the bottom our pagination, and then we have our words previous and next that are sitting here. So all of this can be configured through the configuration file back over in here. And so to get into the configuration file, we're going to go into our OU search, which is where we are. Underneath search and config, we have our OU search settings in here. And again, in the preview, we've got all of the information as to what's already been set. And to go in and change any of this, we pop into our properties menu. Again, you can have different themes already predefined if you want to. Right now, it's just our default and custom. You can have additional themes in here as well, just like the email templates. If you want to as well, you can just create some quick and simple themes into here. So if I wanted to just enable a quick change of color to this, for example, so maybe I wanted to make this more of a red theme instead. And if I wanted to change my my loading icon, I could do that and just save this out. And again, we would, if I come into here now and I refresh this, we see no changes yet because it does have to be published just like anything else in this section. Props file do not need to be published to see changes right away, but these types of config files do. So when I come into here and I refresh this, we now see the red has taken into effect here. So back into here under properties. You can type in color into this. You can use the RGB HSLA values or the hex value, whatever you want in here as well, and do that. Autocomplete length, there's a setting for this as well. As you saw, I started it by setting it at 2. You have the autocomplete length set all the way up to 7. So you do have this customization within the config file as well. Whether or not I want to have the display options on, so I could turn that off. And then whether or not I want the pagination and what words I want to have at the beginning and end of that. So I can do something like for next, I can just maybe do this change just to forward and back. And whether I want the total results and what I want that text to be as well. And my parametric settings as well. Right now it says refined search. Maybe we can just try and call this fine tune instead. And again, save all these settings. Publish this out. Back into here, refresh this. And so now we see the advanced area is now missing because it has been removed. I've changed what this looks like here in terms of the text for the this area here. And down at the bottom for my pagination, now it says back and forward. So again, some examples of things you can change within the config files within the OU search. If we go back over here into our properties again, and just to show you again how simple this is, we wanted to maybe make this orange instead. Save that, publish it, and we have our lovely orange. So we're set up for Halloween in October. It's lovely. All right. Oh, let's see. We have a question here. See, where would we find these settings in our sites? Basically, most of these you're going to find in the resources area. So if I come back into here, we pop back up. Most of these are going to be stored in resources. So for example, my social media is going to be _resources social. If you have OU search and your email, most of those are going to be found over in your resources section as well. Once you're into that in particular folder, you're going to see the same type of folders that you see in the one that I have up here, my training. So once you're in the email folder under resources, you're going to see all these other same folders in there as well. You're going to see your includes, things like that as well.
It's also possible that if your OU search was implemented before we started using config files, you may not have this at all. In which case, I would say, or for anyone interested in these sorts of having these configuration files with their modules, reach out to your account director to get a discussion started about having a project to upgrade you to the latest version of that file, of that module, or to get a config file set up for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Erica.
No problem.
All right. Okay, so moving forward then to one of the last config files I wanted to show you today is underneath the emergency alerts. And so if you have emergency alerts installed on your system, basically this is similar to what it would look like when you load up a page. The alert will show up on the top of the screen, and your alert can be something as simple as just an information panel, which like this one here is just an announcement letting us know something is going on here. This announcement is some important information. So if I wanted to be able to configure how this looks, how everything works in here, I would go to the configuration panel for this as well. So let's get rid of this other stuff here I don't need. All right. All right, so in here, we would then go to our config and then our alerts config panel. And again, here under preview, we see all the different configuration information. If we click on this, this is showing me what the active announcement currently looks like, what the warning configuration looks like, and what the emergency configuration looks like as well. So I get an idea right away what each of these sections is going to look like. So, but let's see if we wanted to change some of how this looks currently into here. So I'm going to go here. We're going to check this out and go to our properties. And here under properties are all the different settings that we saw created in the preview. So the first thing we're going to work with is just the active announcement configuration. So that's what we're looking at right now, which is this one right here. So right now it's fixed at the top of the screen, but let's say we wanted to change this instead of being the top, we wanted it to instead just be an overlay, and we don't want it fixed at the top. We can have it fixed, so that way you can't scroll past it, it'll stay on the screen. And then you can select the size, whether or not you want it to show updates, and how soon you want the cookies to expire. So if you want it to expire after a certain amount of time, you can do that. Otherwise, it'll always appear. So every time the user comes back to that page, the warning or the information would set on there as well. So if I am happy with that, I can save it. And again, this is one of those settings where you do have to publish it out for the changes to take effect. So if I change that and I refresh this screen here, we now see my warning here in the middle of the screen, and it's got my little read more button here, but I can't close it on here because it's too tall. So that would make me want to come in and maybe change that setting just a little bit more. So we'll go to our properties now instead here and to our overlay. And then instead of being fixed, we'll maybe make it not fixed. So that way it can appear. So I can scroll it up so I can get to the close button as well. So other options for the active announcement, I can show the date. I can show an icon if I want to change the icon color, because right now it's just that lovely red color. But let's say I wanted to change the icon out completely to something different entirely. We can come into here and go to icon, and we can go to my directory here with all of my images, and see, did I put them into here? Oh, nope. I think I put them into the emergency alerts folder itself. Images. And here's my announce. So we got a couple different announces we can use here, either one of these. got a large one and we got a smaller one. So we'll just choose the smaller one for now. Save this, publish it back out. And we refresh this page. So now we have our new little announce guy. That's in here. Oh, and I must not have changed the setting like I wanted to have it set to the top. So let's go back over here and change that setting. All right. Yep. I have it not fixed, and I want it to be at the top of the screen instead so we can see it. Save it, publish, and refresh that. There we go, back at the top. So now I can see the close, and there's my little announcement guy. All right, so now let's move forward into maybe one of the other alerts that we want. So to do this, I'm going to go over here first to my emergency alerts panel. I'm going to open this up in a new tab. So here's that announcement that's currently up there. So I'm just going to go ahead and archive that announcement and get rid of it. So that announcement is now archived. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to create a new emergency alert. So I'm just going to go to my archived alerts that I have here. And I'm going to go to my Martians are attacking alert. That's here. And I'm going to set that as active. And so this is my new active emergency alert. Close this out. So when I come back into here, we see our Martians are attacking. So if I wanted to make sure that this was a little bit more popped here instead of this sort of rose colored, again, we can back over here to our configuration panel. And we would scroll down to the actual emergency alert part of it. So this is active warning and active emergency configuration. So again, we have our top, we get large, that's fine. We don't want to change the icon color, but I do want to change the icon. So I want to go here to my icon again. And we're going to go down to my Training Tuesdays. Config and images. And here I'm going to have my spinning siren instead. So we're going to choose that. And then for our anything else we want to change in here is we have our different colors. We didn't change the icon color because we're not using an icon. How fast you want the window to pop up. You have your speeds here. You can also customize this and have a custom CSS for that too, but we're just going to leave it as fast. I want to change the background color for the alert. By default, we're using that current one. So if I wanted to make this bright red instead. All right. And again, I have customizations for things like the text color, the button, everything else in here. Once done, you can save it, publish this out. Back over into here and refresh this. So we're not going to miss this alert. This pops up on the screen. You're going to see it and recognize it right away. All right. All right. Also, within the configuration files in here under properties, you also have the ability to change not only the active colors, but also all the archive colors as well. So we got scroll all the way down a little bit further, then we get into our archive section. So if you want to change the look and feel of how things are in the archive section, so you don't have all these flashing images and different colors and things of that nature, you could change all of that as well in here. So, all right. So those are the different configuration files that we were going to go over today. As I mentioned, that some of these are relatively consistent per install. Things like the emergency alerts, the email campaign manager. So those are very specific modules that are purchased and added into an install. The config files are pretty consistent with those. Some of the other config files can be just completely one-off and created specifically for your individual installation. And again, you can also create your own as well. So I kind of will open the floor here if anybody has any specific questions about anything, and also open it up to Erica if she has any comments she needs to make as well.
Oh, and I see someone has a raised hand. Just use the Q&A. It's in your Zoom menu. And that way we can see your question. I see 2 raised hands. Or you can type it in the chat. All right, there we go.
Change the size of the text in the emergency alert boxes. Currently, there is not a setting in here that I recall in the emergency alert settings. But if that's something that you would like added to it, basically all this is doing right now, it's taking the information from the class settings. And so if it's not been predefined within the class, it's going to take that information. So here, for example, for the font color in the class, it's been defined. And so if I don't use a color here, it's going to use the default color of the 33333. So if that's something that you would want to have added in here, that's something that can be added and included into the emergency alert config. Again, that's going to be just a setting, a parameter that's going to be defined in here. You just define the parameter, the variable is set, and so that way when you come into properties, that option would be here as well. So that is something that can be added into this configuration as well. I'm sorry, Lori, I wish it was already there too. It's a good question.
And we have another question. Will you make this training link available to us to review again later? Yes, this Training Tuesday, as with all other Training Tuesdays, will be recorded and posted. And if you go to our support site, support.omniupdate.com, you'll see if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you will see a link to the most recent Training Tuesday, to our next Training Tuesday, and to the full archive. So if you just go to the homepage of our support site, you will be able to see the link to this and all other recorded Training Tuesdays. Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions coming in? Okay, well, so if anyone is still thinking of their last question, I would like to take it over to next month's, or to introduce next month's Training Tuesday. Billy, if you'd like to throw that slide up on the screen.
I will do that.
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, so next month's Training Tuesday will be on June 25th, and we're going to talk about select lists, which is an option for your table transformation snippets to give users a predefined drop-down of content. So we'll be talking about how to add that into your implementation. As always, Training Tuesday link, the registration link, will be posted on the OCN and the support site. All right, and no more I don't see any last minute questions, so I'm going to formally wrap everything up. As always, like I said, the recorded presentation and PowerPoint slides will be available on our support site. And before you go, question? No, okay. Before you go, please remember to fill out the feedback survey that pops up. Your feedback really helps us. It lets us know what you want to see more of. And so that way we can tailor our Training Tuesdays to you. Oh, I just see someone sent in a message. I missed the majority of the compliance training. Can you please tell me when the next session will be? This session is recorded, and so you can view it at any time. It should be posted by either end of day today or by tomorrow. If there's something specific that you're looking for, send in an email to trainingteam@omniupdate.com. For Training Tuesdays in general, they're always on the last Tuesday of the month. And again, all those details are on our support site. I hope that answers your question. But again, if you have a specific query, you can email us at trainingteam@omniupdate.com. Okay, thank you everybody for attending. Don't forget to fill out the feedback survey, and I will see you all again next month.
Thank you all very much.